All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. So a lot of people have been asking me about supplements, specifically creatine. So I wanted to do a video answering a lot of these questions that I've been getting about creatine. So the first question I get all the time is what kind of creatine should I take? The second question I get is how old should I start taking creatine? How old should I be when I start taking creatine? The third question that I get is how much creatine should I take per day? And the fourth question that I get is really when should I take my creatine relative to my workout, meaning pre or post workout. So the first question, what kind of creatine should you take? For me personally, I take creatine monohydrate. I prefer unflavored creatines because with the flavored kinds, a lot of times what you're getting is a lot of additives, sometimes sugars, carbs, calories, sodium. There's all kinds of things that go into flavoring creatine that you just don't really need. For me, just mixing it in with the water, I have no problem drinking it. So for me, creatine monohydrate, just good old-fashioned, unflavored, that's what works best for me. That's what I would recommend personally. As far as the brand goes, creatine is creatine. So whichever brand you can afford to buy, whichever brand you prefer, whatever brand you're loyal to, creatine monohydrate is creatine monohydrate. So it really doesn't matter what brand you get it if you're not really looking for the flavored creatine. The second question, how old should you be when you start taking creatine? My philosophy on that is if you're old enough to be working out consistently, you're old enough to be following a bodybuilding style diet, and you're old enough to be researching creatine and watching videos like this, then you're old enough to be taking creatine. As long as you're taking creatine responsibly, you're drinking plenty of water, you're not drinking like half a tub of creatine a day and putting it in just one bottle of water, you should be fine. There's no real reason that I see age as being a disqualifying factor for whether or not you should take creatine. So I think anybody can take creatine if you're already working out, you're already starting a bodybuilding style diet. If you're taking protein powder, you can take creatine. That's my philosophy on it. So the third question I usually get is when should I take creatine relative to my workout? So for me personally, now this might not work for everybody because I know everybody responds differently to different supplements, but for me personally, I take creatine pre and post workout. Now not everybody does this. A lot of people think that creatine is most effective post-workout and there's no need to take it pre-workout. Then there's a lot of people who think the complete opposite. You have to take creatine pre-workout and it's nonsense to take it after your workout. But for me personally, I find that my body responds best when I'm taking very high amounts of creatine post-workout and taking a very small amount before my workout. So what I'll do is I'll take my pre-workout shake before my workout. The pre-workout I take has a couple grams of creatine in it already, so I'll add about 5 grams to that from my creatine supplement. So it's probably about 5 to 10 grams of creatine pre-workout is what I take. So post-workout is where I take the bulk of my creatine. So I'll eat my meal after my workout. I'll probably have a protein shake later on in the day, and I'll do some intermittent fasting from there on out. So I'll have a BCAA shake probably about 3 hours after my workout. So post-workout, 3 hours, I'll have an amino acid shake. I'll add the aminos in there, and I'll add probably 10 to 15 grams of creatine. So what goes hand in hand with this is the creatine loading ideology. Now this is another question I get all the time is should I creatine load? Is creatine loading effective? For me, I take a whole lot of creatine. A lot of people have been asking me about creatine because that's the way that I kind of have been recomping my body, so to speak, after this show. I'm trying to put some size back on, trying to hold some water weight, trying to get stronger, and the way that I've done that is I've been loading creatine. Now the traditional idea is only for the first week or two to load creatine. Instead of 5 grams a day, 10 grams a day, you're doing 25 grams a day or 30 grams a day. So for me, my creatine loading phase, I'll do probably close to 50 grams of creatine a day. Just because I know I'm drinking enough water. I drink about 2.5 gallons of water a day. So I'll spread the creatine out throughout the course of the day with all that water. So I'm drinking plenty of water to disperse that creatine, so that's fine. And I get my creatine for free, so cost is really no issue for me in terms of I'm not worried about running out of creatine, so I'll take as much as I feel like I need to take. So if that's an issue for you, I would recommend not loading as much as I load, but that's what works for me. So I'll do that loading phase for about a week, maybe 10 days, and then I'll go back down to the 25 to 30 grams of creatine daily, and that's what I take for about 8 weeks. I'll cycle off of creatine for a while, then I'll get back on it. I do think it's important to take a break from creatine. Some people say you can just take it year-round and you should be fine, but personally, I think with all these supplements, it's important to give your body some kind of break and to cycle it in some form or another. So I wouldn't recommend taking creatine, just fucking 5 years straight and never stopping. I would recommend giving your body a break for a little while, just letting your body kind of clear out, drink a lot of water for a couple weeks with no creatine, just just to give your body a break, man. I do that with pre-workout, I do that with protein powder, I do that with BCAAs. I'll give myself like a 1 or 2 week period where I won't drink pre-workout at all, 1 or 2 week period where I won't take any protein supplements, just to kind of clear my body out and just not feel like I'm taking in a bunch of crap all the time. So that's what I do. So I hope this video really helped you guys out. Creatine, I think, is probably the most important supplement you can take. You can get a month's supply of creatine for no more than $10, man. I mean, it's the cheapest product. It's the most researched product. It has the most anecdotal evidence. It has the most scientific evidence, empirical evidence. There's been a ton of studies, a ton of research supporting the effects of creatine. So I would say buy creatine before you even buy a protein powder, pre-workout, whatever. I think creatine is the single most important supplement for a natural bodybuilder in terms of, you know, volumizing your muscle, getting better pumps, better recovery, in terms of being stronger, having longer workouts, better endurance. I think all those things hold true with taking creatine, and I highly, highly recommend taking it. So I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Nick Strength and Power, signing out.